Whether you're fly fishing in a stream, getting those ankles wet, or deep in the ocean, casting nets, fish nerds, fish nerds, fish nerds. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. Hello and welcome to the Fish Nerds, the show about fish, fishing, and eating fish. I'm Clay Groves, Chief Executive Fish Nerd, Licensed Fishing Guide, and your best friend. And I got a special co-host tonight, Mr. Dave Kellam. Dave, how are you tonight?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm doing, surprisingly well, given everything.
Yeah, happy Dave Fest, by the way.
Yeah, Dave Fest, the week-long celebration of my birthday, but it's really, Dave Fest is for everyone.
For everyone's birthday this week.
It's true, and especially the Daves in the world. So if you have a special Dave or even an unspecial Dave, especially an unspecial Dave, go out and give Dave a hug.
For all the Daves in your life.
That's right. These are the Daves we know.
Hug a Dave today. All right. Well, before we catch up a little bit, we're going to talk about what's going to be on the show tonight. We're going to talk about why fishing in November is so challenging. I describe it as sucking. We're going to talk about National Podcast Posting Month. We'll do a little check-in. Tim Bete and the Crappie Hippie are here with Lure Love, and of course, we will have the news. But first, we need to catch up with Dave Kellam because we don't see Dave very often. And so it's your birthday this week, but also, I mean, you've been fishing too a little bit in November.
I have been poking around. One of the nice things was I didn't put the boat away this winter yet. It's still an option, which is always is always good. It's funny, when I first got the boat and I was all super careful, I put that thing away right away and took great care of it. And now I'm like, oh, I'll leave it one more weekend. It'll be one more time and all of this. And but it was nice. I went out. It was one of those really great fall 70-degree days, and got out there because the crappie are all stacking up, and it was just heaven. It was heaven poking around, warm weather, catching crappie here and there. Awesome. So yeah, crappie.
Yeah, I haven't caught any fish in November. I never have caught a fish in November. I hate November. There's nothing worse than November for fishing for me. I went this morning to one of my favorite ponds that they stock heavily with broodstock brook trout.
Mm-hmm.
You know the pond I'm talking about.
I do know the pond.
Really big, and I'm seeing pictures on Facebook of people catching these brook trout, fly fishing, and all that stuff. So I went out there this morning, about brand new boots, and immediately stepped in the water past top of my boots. And the water must have been 36 degrees. The wind temperature was about 19 degrees. It was breezy out. I made about 6 casts and then hooked my lure in a tree, broke off, and went home angry.
That was curse November.
Oh, I hate November. I hate it.
I hate November.
I hate it. The truth is like November's too cold, but not cold enough.
It does throw those curveballs of warm weather. And I've actually learned over the years, now that I'm at an advanced age, okay? So this is a little bit of wisdom I'm dropping.
I'll take it.
All right. I've learned to not get suckered in to like fishing in the ways you would in the summer. Now I know that there's going to be a lot of listeners out there who go, Dave, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, but that's part of the advantage of getting old. It's
right.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Right. You impart your old timer knowledge.
Exactly. And as I get older and older, it's going to be harder and harder to shut me up on these things.
But you'll start in the middle of stories then. You won't have, there will be no beginning of a story. It'll be just like, hey, it's Jimmy John Johnson down over there, and he did that thing that time.
I remember when Pood Felton went across the creek. And that was my neighbor, by the way.
Pood Felton?
Pood. His name was Pood.
His mom didn't love him.
Yeah, I know. Pood Felton.
Poor old Pood.
But anyway, I've learned, and I actually learned this from several people, but Tim Moore actually was one of the first people to take me out crappie fishing in the fall.
He's good at it.
He is good at it, and I keep going to that same spot. And I think the trick is trying to zero in on those shore things like that, and not get suckered into like, oh, maybe I could catch a bass here, or maybe I could do this or that. So
changing up to what actually he wants to eat.
Yeah, and just find something that works and stick with it. November is not a month for chances.
No, and my problem is I've never found anything to work for me in November. So I've been sticking with what doesn't work, which is just hating the month of November. and
Right,
waiting.
and that's been
waiting
consistent for you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
very.
that's
I've
been-
never liked it. I don't like
Yeah?
April either. Same reason.
Yeah, and you're never disappointed necessarily, right? Because you're getting what you expect.
Well, I'm always disappointed, but I'm used to it. I am.
Yeah,
I am,
you're like the you're like the Hulk. Instead of always mad, your secret is you're just always.
That's my secret. I'm always disappointed. You know, it's like when your dad says, "I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed," and then you feel extra bad.
Right, exactly.
I wish
And
you would just be
ca-
mad at me.
And you just carry that with you all the time.
Always. I just like that dad disappointment.
Yeah.
Yep. Good at it. Now I'm putting that on my kids too. Yeah, I'm not mad
Nice.
at you. Just disappointed.
And we're like, they're like, yeah, we know.
You
Heard
just,
it before.
you're always disappointed, Dad. God, stupid. But the other problem with November is the air temperature. Like in midwinter, like February, if it
Mhm.
was 22 degrees out with a light breeze and sunny like today was,
Mhm.
I would have been fine. I would not have been cold. But today, my hands were cold. I couldn't work the fishing reel.
Yeah.
I wasn't acclimated yet. So November for me also, it's just the temperature sucks.
No, you're absolutely right. The acclimation is a real thing, right? And I think once again, your body is stuck in a warmer time, and you think, oh, you know what? It's just last week. It was great, and then all of a sudden it's not. So, yeah, because by spring, when a 40-degree day hits, you think it's freaking summer, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
I'm taking my pants off. It's great.
I know. We all know, Clay. We really this year we want you to stop that.
This year
okay?
we keep our pants off in
Yes.
2021. The only way 2021 will be better than 2020 is if I keep my pants on. That's
Right. Pants on April. That's what it's known around here as for Clay.
It's funny. When my friend was in college, we made a movie with him called Man Sans Pants, and it was all about a man who did not understand the concept of pants, or he couldn't even see them. So we, in the city of Manchester, New Hampshire, we filmed all these scenes where every scene we'd film twice, one with pants on, and then one we'd take all our pants off and film them again right downtown in the city, because we had to show his point of view and then real life, because he could not see pants. Man sans pants. So,
Whatever happened to that production?
I've never saw the movie. So
No, go figure.
yeah, it didn't win any awards.
That's a surprise.
It's the best idea ever.
It is the best idea, actually.
It was so embarrassing, but you're only 25 once.
Right. And it just, nothing's going to stop you at that point.
And-
Oh, well, good. Well, that's another thing with age, because your desire to have your pants on also diminishes as you get older.
Good. You pull them up much higher though when you wear them.
You do. When you have them on, they're up there.
Go all
But
the way.
otherwise, I'm going out, I'm walking the dog out in the front yard with no pants on, and it's really everybody else's problem. It's not mine at this point.
It's their problem.
It's their problem.
Yeah.
If they don't like it, they should just look somewhere else.
How's your wife feel about that?
She's known it for a while.
She accepts it.
Yes.
It's the way it is. All right. Well, Dave, it's National Podcast Posting Month. I don't know if you've been keeping up at all, but this month
I got my shopping done for it.
did you? Good.
Yeah.
Because there's no shopping days left.
I know. It was a good month. But go ahead.
Yeah, so that's National Podcast Posting Month, and that's stolen from the NaNoWriMo, whatever, the National Novel Writing Month. And I hate them both because I hate saying them. I wish you could just like these initialisms don't work so well,
Initialisms.
Well, yeah, it's not a what do you
It's
call
not
it?
an acronym.
Acronyms say words, right?
Oh, and initialisms don't.
Oh, just a bunch of letters. So-
Nano's not a word.
What's that?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. So initialisms are just letters string together, but
I didn't know that.
acronyms are words. So
Wow, I learned things.
but I guess if it's a made up word, is it initialism or an acronym?
I don't know.
Because NASA is not a word, but it's an acronym because you can read it.
I thought everything was an acronym, so this is all new to me.
Right. Well, don't even get me on the difference between lecterns and podiums, because then it's game over. So then we just ruin the whole show arguing things that don't matter. But-
All right, National Podcasting Month.
Yeah, so every day this month we've been telling a new fishy joke every single day of the month, and we haven't got any funny jokes. That's just I think I got one today, and that's it. The rest have been jokes I've found on the internet, or my kids have found, or other listeners have called in with them. So we're hoping that we have just a few days left, Well, give us a call, 607-378-FISH, and give us a funny fish joke to end the month out. We'll take the bad ones too. They're all fun, but they're not. Some of them aren't that.
It's humor in 2020 has been a call. That's a big order. I think
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
And it's also hard, like when you're on a microphone all by yourself with no audience, to push record and be funny.
It is. There's no feedback. There's nothing. Yeah. That is tough. And I do actually, honestly, feel for those people, those comedians that are having to do Zoom and be funny virtually.
Oh God.
That would be death. And have you watched, I know you're a big fan of sports.
Oh, the sports. Yes.
I know you like the sports.
On my radio job, I have to do sports news. I have to write the news about sports. And I'm always like, we have the AP news feed, we pay for. So we have all like the real news. And they're like, there's like Boston Bruins, there's like football teams. I can't name any. And then other like American sports. And I always find like the Lithuania, like teams. And so every time I have to do the sports news on the radio, and that's not very often, I pick the strangest, like bizarre sports because I don't care about sports. But no one ever complains either, which is so strange. It's no feedback. You're talking into the air and hoping someone cares about it.
So the semifinalists of the Highlight Championship in Guam.
Yeah. We did that. I think I covered the fish throwing competition in Florida where they threw the fish over the line there. So
there you go.
Yeah, nothing exciting. But anyways, we're hoping audience members will call in, you listeners will call us and give us something to end the month with.
Right. Well, my only point of bringing up the sports thing is that, if you watch a national football game right now on TV, they pipe in the audience applause.
Oh.
Like the whole audience reaction of people. You've done it.
I can play.
Yeah, so I think that maybe the answering machine should have the laughter, sort of pre-laughter, so people think,
can you do that?
Funny.
Is there a way to do that where you have it so it comes on while the person is recording their joke?
It would be great, wouldn't it? You put it on a 5-second delay and then just
and like I wasn't done yet, or I wasn't calling about that. My grandmother died. You're a peach.
There you go.
Yeah, inappropriate laughter. I get the wrong thing. It's tax collector calling. Hello,
You've been served.
Perfect. All right, let's check in with the Crappie Hippie and Tim Bete, and they're talking this week about lure kits. Dave, have you used lure kits?
Lure kits?
Yeah.
No.
I remember when we worked for Audubon, you used to cuss a lot by saying fur kits. Do you remember that?
Fur kits?
Yeah, so we used to be able to get the fur kits which were these big bins full of furs for teaching stuff, and they were called fur kits, and you would walk around the nature center going, fur kits. And like you were cussing. It was your joke. You remember that?
Oh, I've forgotten more jokes than I can remember.
Well, it wasn't that good. All right, here we go.
Lure love, I can't get enough. Got a space in my tackle box, just got to fill it up. Lure love, I can't ever stop. Don't got a basement, got an underground tackle shop.
Hey, everybody, this is Crappie Hippie, your tree-hugging redneck from eastern Kansas, and welcome to Lure Love. And our topic for tonight, our good friend and essayist, Mr. Tim Bete, has come up with a great topic for tonight on lure kits. Let's get into this right away. What are we going to talk about this week in terms of lure kits, Tim?
Well, John, I love lure kits. It's a great way to test a new lure type if you haven't fished with it before, because a lot of these kits, they give you a small selection, maybe some different colors, different sizes of a lure type. And last month, I stumbled across this article, and it was titled "The Best Fishing Lure Set." And it's on the Chicago Tribune website. So I'm thinking, well, this is great. but I'm a little bit skeptical as I start to read some of the things that they're saying on this site. And it becomes clear to me that the reviewer doesn't know a lot about what he's reviewing. The article starts out, if you're looking for the best lure collection on the market, read our helpful shopping guide. And we've compared dozens of lure sets and yada, yada. But some of the things that he talked about, he clearly didn't know what he was reviewing. So I thought, let's go to the expert, the Crappie Hippie and Tim Bete, and talk about some lure sets.
Let's do it.
One of the things the article said at the beginning, and this is what made me skeptical, is it said a jig combines all the visual and sonic appeal of spoons and spinners. And I'm thinking, if there's a lure that has no sonic appeal, it's a jig. The thing just kind of floats down in the water, unless it's something like the Crappie Dueler or something that has spinners on it. But when I read that, I thought, what has this guy been smoking?
Yeah. Pass it around, man. I mean, it's like, come on, you can't dead stick a spinner. I mean, the spinner needs energy, so you're gonna have to put some energy out to make it work. No, that's just crazy. The jig is the ultimate finesse bait, but sometimes you want to be quiet, and sometimes you want to just make a supernatural minnow swimming along quietly. You're not out to anger the fish. You're not out to get a reaction. You're not out to attract him from 10 yards away in the lake. You just want to swim a bug right in front of his face. That's your jig, baby. That's a lure that you can just hold still. Yeah, that's complete, like, I never fished in my life type comment.
and then the guy goes on to, the writer goes on to say, if an angler wanted to invest in a higher end fishing lure, it would most likely be a jig. And I'm thinking, jigs are the most cost-effective lure that's out there. It's not like a $20 crankbait. I mean, you can buy some inexpensive jigs that are very, very effective.
Absolutely. And what I would tell this person that wrote this article, let's just take jig out of that and put plug in instead. Some of these swim baits can get up over $100, especially if they're the ones coming from Europe.
Yeah, for pike.
That's where you're
musky.
Yeah, pike, musky, big, Lakers. People are trying them on all kinds of stuff. They started out, of course, for bass, and guys like muskies eat big fish like that. Why shouldn't I be trying that here? A jig is crimping a split shot to a jig hook, taking your mom's polyester thread, shredding up a leaf off your sister's ballet costume or dance costume or feather boa, taking that, tie that to a hook and get on down to the lake and get fishing. It's the ultimate, man. The ultimate in poor boy fishing. It jig.
Sure is. So I looked up this guy. I said, well, who is this reviewer? And this author, he rates a lot of reviews. And let me tell you some of the things that he's reviewed. He's reviewed the best digital keyboards, the best invisible fences, meal replacement shakes, hand dryers, weather vanes, canister vacuums, roach killer, and beard wash. And so I'm thinking, this guy is either a genius, can review anything, or he doesn't know anything about any of these topics.
Beard wash. Come on, we got to look this up. There's a lot of nerds that can use that beard wash. But yeah, you wonder, does he, what do you need an invisible fence for, dude? Do you even have, what do you got, a goat? Or is it just for your dog? Or do you even have a dog?
The interesting thing is the lure set that they most highly recommended, it was a 100-piece set. And the company, I'd seen their name before. It was Placino. And so I look up Placino to see who this company is. I think it was a foreign manufacturer. And their website says that they specialize in Bluetooth speakers, iPhone cases, fishing gear, and all kinds of gadgets. So these guys are not fishing experts.
No. And they're clearly on the gadget end of that.
So there's 100 pieces in this set, but 30 of them are things like swivels and beads. There's 3 plastic worms, but 14 worm hooks, because we all know that we lose a lot more worm hooks than worms. I mean, what a crazy ratio that is.
Right.
And then there's 15 plastic grubs that are all too small for the worm hooks. And there's 4 very large jig heads that are too large for the grubs. So the whole thing is just it's like a grab bag of random pieces. But with that said, the set was only $30, and it did have some spinner bait, some topwater frogs, some plugs, and some spoons and things like that. So it's some value. But what I find with some of these kits is you get some things that are useful to you, but a lot of stuff that you're never going to use. Like one of the things in this kit was it had 6-inch wire leaders. And I'm thinking, unless you're fishing for pike or something, who is using those things? So there are things that would just sit in your tackle box and gather dust because you're never really going to use them.
Yeah, and I think then, especially in the wire leaders, they're getting a little broad. That it might be an Asian thing or a Mediterranean, Europe thing, where they're thinking, hey, everybody needs wire leaders because they're thinking ocean fish for some of this, or maybe they're just trying to cover too much ground. And yeah, I think it became a deal where we can get these baits for this much and these baits for this much, and then you just kind of cram it all together and call it a kit. But it has just a fuzzy sort of notion about what it's for. It's for fishing, but we're going to have to narrow it a little bit. And I find that the best kits, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but the best kits have a kind of a focus to them. A MEPS kit is going to give you MEPS spinners. We know that, but even MEPS is going to tip that kit toward muskie. It needs a different type and size spinner than brook trout. So, we get companies and people that really know their fishing are much better sourced because they're going to give you a focused kit that can actually help you with your fishing rather than just a kit by a non-fisherman, for someone that is a non-fisherman. And if they get a bunch of junk, then they'll probably fish, then we'll lose them because, they won't be a fisher long if they have to go out and contend with not having success and their equipment's breaking and so on. So pick a lane, get in it, drive hard. Those are your better kits.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. So like MEPS, as you mentioned, they have the spinner kits, but they have a bass kit, a trout kit, pike, walleye, and the kits tend to be pretty good deals. So like the MEPS, their walleye kit, you get 6 spinners for $33. Now, these are high-end, high-quality brass bodies, copper and brass blades, assembled in the USA, about $5.50 each. If you bought them individually, you might pay $7 or $8. So you get to test out quite a few different lures, different colors and sizes and things, and you're saving about $10. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's a really good deal. A quality product that runs right. We talked about cheap spoons. Inline spinners is another area where you're going to pay because your cheap ones will roll, and you don't want them rolling. They will not spin true. You get that. Matt's been making this a long time. They're the number one. Rapala might be the biggest lure company, but MEPS is the number one lure in the world still. Because they're great. And I'll tell you, if you've ever torn one apart, and you know what pain this would cause me, being the cheapest guy on earth, to take a $6 spinner and tear it apart. But sometimes you do have to break the rattle to know how it works. And I did that. I've done it a few times, and there's more to a MEPS than meets the eye. They've got little buzz beads and little rattle beads and stuff up inside a lot of those bodies.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't know about that. That gives them a little extra hum, a little extra thrum. But so it's for clever ideas like that. And like you say, super good quality materials, You're not going to break a MEPS, but you are going to scream when you lose one.
That's the truth. So what I started to think, John, was I thought, I don't really like this lure set that they recommended. And I started to think, what if I wanted to buy a Christmas gift for somebody who was just starting out fishing, and say I had $50, and I wanted to buy them not hooks for bait and sinkers and things, but just a good kind of lure assortment. And so I went online, started to look at some different products. And what I put together is, I think, an excellent lure kit of my own making, made up of the smaller kits like you're recommending, for $50.
It's brilliant. Are you going to run us through it?
Yeah, I'm going to run you through. And so for me, I was looking at something where you could catch like bass, trout, panfish. When you're younger, you're starting out, and you just want to kind of test some different things. So the first thing that I picked was a Yum Ned Rig Essentials Kit from Bass Pro Shops. It's only $8. It has 3 different types of plastic baits. You get 5 stick worms, 5 Ned minnows, and 5 Ned crawfish, and 2 jig heads. So great way to test out I love Ned rigs. I'm a big believer in Ned rigs. They catch a lot of fish. This is a great way to start out and figure out, do you like fishing a Ned rig?
Oh, well, yeah, or just any jig. You're after my own heart. Everyone wants to call it a Ned rig, but it's just a mushroom head with a, Ned Katie, when he thought that up, just had all these plastic worm scraps, and he basically, came up with this little jig that stands up vertically so you can fish it and that'll rock back and forth. And he wanted, get people into finesse fishing the 100 bass day. And the Ned Rig will certainly do that. I love this first choice. I'm a jig diehard, and it's brilliant.
Yep. So the second kit that I looked at was a Rebel Lures Classic Critters crankbait set, $14.50. You may have seen these. You sell them a lot of places. It's a really good deal. It's a 4-pack, and it includes a topwater plug and 3 crankbaits. And the crankbaits are a grasshopper, a crayfish, and a minnow. Now, these often sell for $6 each, but it's $14.50 for the set. So an excellent price. I have caught a ton of fish on these. They're not huge, but it's a good assortment.
It's fabulous, fabulous company. Right after Rapala, you have the American-made, Rebels. And the more I hang out with you, the more curious I get about grasshopper lures and some of these stuff that are not generally on my tabletop when I go to select, but you've got me interested. So, and of course, I love this for a kid. It's a minnow, it's a cricket, it's a grasshopper, it's a popper. These give him different depths, different actions, different animals that he can feed to the fish. And what a fantastic price.
Yeah, and those grasshoppers, I tell you, they are great if you're fishing for smallmouth. Great lure. Now, the third kit is my favorite spinner by far is Panther Martin. Since I've been a kid, I have loved those. And I found for $11, a Panther Martin is the Western Trout set. You get 3 spinners for $11, which is, these are 1/8 ounce, really good deal. And spinners, what a great thing for somebody starting out fishing. You cast it out, you reel it in, the fish pretty much hook themselves on it. Great lure.
Absolutely great lure. I recommend, people ask, what would be the one lure you'd stick in the hands of a kid, that's on his first trip with away from the bait bucket trying an artificial lure. I'm going to say spinner. Where you're at and the kind of environments you fish in, I'd go with an inline like a Panther Martin or a Maps or what have you. And then of course here we're a little more scummy weedy here in Kansas. So I like the old Beetle spin. I like the old overhead jig spinner. And we will talk about the guy that invented that in another show. But I'm with you on the Panther Martin. And of course, Fish Nerd listeners, I know we got a strong Panther Martin advocacy. If Fish Nerd Facebook group's any indication. So your fearless leader, Tim, is right here with you on the Panther Martin. It's a great design. It works great. And while a spinner may not be the best lure for anything, it's a great lure for everything.
Absolutely. My fourth choice was back to the jigs again. I'm a big jig fan. It's the Trout Magnet, but not for the trout. It's the Panfish Magnet set. So this is $13 on Amazon. You get 70 split tail grub bodies in 7 different colors. Now these grub bodies, they're bigger for panfish than they are for the trout, but it also gives you 15 1/64 ounce jig heads. They're number 8 hooks. And a lot of people will say, well, can I even cast a 1/64 ounce jig head? But you have to remember that grub body has some weight to it. So I find you can cast these and you can catch trout, you can catch bass, you can catch crappie. On a jig that size, you can catch about any fish.
Absolutely. This is a fantastic choice because we're talking kids going to the city lake. We're talking going to the pond. We're talking going to a place where it's not about size. It's about catching something and staying busy. And this has a lot, 7 colors and 10 of each type tail. And, you get 15 heads. So you're not terrified if you have to lose one. And of course, you can always fish them under a bobber. You can always do something to up your game there. Got a great story about the 1/64th Panfish Magnet. I got to go last year in October. I got to go up and see Chief Executive Clay Groves, and I mean it, Zoe, his daughter. Oh man, she was beating me like I stole something. I'm telling you, she had one perch after another coming over the rails, and then she'd sit down and read her book or something. I mean, that's how this young lady fishes. And I'm got my eye on her, and I'm just like 16th ounce, 32nd ounce. Finally, I get down there. Gotta get down because these perch wanted, small. And we had an absolute blast. And any kid that gets hold of this aspect of this overall mega kit you're putting together, they are going to have a freaking ball. This is Trout Magnet kills me. Panfish Magnet kills me because that darter head has been around.
Yeah.
Dart head. Yeah. It's been around since the 60s. Sometimes reinventing the wheel really does work though. And they're very successful with this, and for a good reason. It's simple and it produces, baby.
And it comes in a kit. It comes in a nice, most of these things come in a nice plastic box, so it's easy to throw into your larger tackle box. The last thing is, I didn't have a lot of money left toward the 50, but I found for $4.50 two Acuna 2.45 inch hammered spoons. And we talked about spoons last time. These are just basic hammered spoons, but another tool for people who are starting out. It's not difficult to fish a spoon. You can jig it. You really can't fish it wrong. You can let it flutter. You can reel it straight in.
Absolutely can't fish it wrong. And we already did this last week. We have to have a spoon or two or a dozen in that tackle box. This is a great way to get started on a great lure.
Yeah. So I ended up at all of those together, $51. So I went over by $1. It's over 110 pieces, and you got your jigs, you got spinners, spoons, crankbaits. If you're trying to fill a tackle box for somebody starting off for $50, this is a great way to do it.
I think it's brilliant. And look at how bad you beat Placino. You've got 3 times the number of pieces. I think you have 100 times the interest, because these are real fishing items from real fishing companies, recognizable fishing companies, good plastics that aren't stiff, good bill baits that are going to run true, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I commend you, Mr. Bete. This is a great kit idea for someone that wants to just wow that beginning artificial lure angler with a fantastic selection of lures in that ultralight to light action, medium action range. You've got us covered, baby. You got us covered.
Well, let's hope this Christmas some kids come down under the tree and this is what they find, because they'll be happy to get it.
Absolutely. I know some older people that might celebrate that kit as well.
Hey, I'd be happy to get it.
It wouldn't bother me a bit, baby. Good deal.
So as usual, let's go to the Lure-matic computer system. First, let's ask the computer to rate the article in that Placino kit, and then we'll ask the Lure-matic to rate my kit, and we'll see how the two compare. We'll go head to head. Okay, John?
Let's do it.
Hello, Tim and Crappie Hippie. This is the Lure-matic computer system. I've been listening to your fascinating conversation about lure kits, and I am ready to rate the article from the Chicago Tribune website and Tim's lure set collection to determine which recommended lure set is best. Calculating. Warning, danger, Will Robinson, intruder alert. Ha ha, that joke never gets old. Calculating. A jig does not have the same sonic appeal of a spinner. Invisible fences, weather vanes, beard wash, oh my. Not enough plastic worms and too many worm hooks. Jig heads are not correct size for grubs. Disappointing, very disappointing. Tim's recommended set includes the Ned Rig Essentials Kit, the Rebel Lures Classic Critters Crankbait Set, the Panther Martin Western Trout Set, the Trout Magnet Panfish Magnet Kit, and 2 Acuna Hammered Spoons. All for $51, what a bargain. Tim's recommended lure set gets a rating of 11 out of 11. The Placino lure kit recommended by the Chicago Tribune website gets a 2. Tim wins. He smoked the competition. Tim is the greatest of all time when it comes to rating lure sets. Feel free to leave a tip in the jar on my console.
All right. So the Lure-matic rated my lure kit an 11, but it rated the that other article in that set only a 2, John. Can you believe that? I hit it out of the park.
You hit it out of the park, and I'm not surprised. I hate to see you beat up on the weak, but that kit, it was weak, and I think 2 is being generous. So that's just it. We can tell a journalist and a fisherman that's a real journalist and a real fisherman over somebody that's just stick a product in front of me and I'll wing it, right?
Right. Absolutely.
All due praise to Mr. Bete on the kit.
So if there's anybody out there listening that that makes lures, they have their own kit, you can send it to us. We'd be glad to take a look and review it on the show.
Okay, and also we're putting together some kits at Glasswater. Keep an eye on the Facebook group page, and next Lure Love segment, maybe I'll be able to talk about them in more detail, but it's a fun way to get people into fishing. Well, if you don't have anything else tonight, Tim, I think we're going to have to round her up. I think you've given us a lot to think about, a lot to look for, and it's a perfect time of year to be talking about kits. All right, until next time, this is Crappie Hippie, your tree-hugging redneck from Eastern Kansas, along with our essayist and top flight product reviewer, Tim Bete, saying tight lines and Valentine's. Peace out.
Can't I make you see? Why buy 5 lures when you can buy 103?
103, Dave.
That's great. Who did that song?
That is Tim Bete's daughter, and he has not told me her name, so I can't even give her credit for the song.
Let's make it up.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's give her a name.
Oh, yeah. Well, Tim's a fish nerd, so her name is probably
Angel.
Angel's a fish name. I'm thinking Placostome.
Oh, the beautiful Placostome.
Yes, a beautiful name, and you can tell by the voice that's the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she sounds like a Placostome. So until we hear different,
Placostome Bete is
Yep.
her name.
which actually sounds like a really cool rapper name, actually.
It is, yeah. Do a little rap, Dave.
I don't think so.
No.
No.
All right. Well, I wouldn't either. This Fish Nerds episode, the podcast, brought to you by Spread'em, a portable outrigger for trolling fish. It's a one-of-a-kind adjustable assistant for hooking up multiple lines to your boat without the hassle of crossing lines. Everyone that's used the prototype has loved it, and it's great for trolling fish in any boat with your friends. More lines equals more fish, and we encourage Fish Nerds listeners to support this. This is a local Maine inventor who built this thing. He's been working on it for years, and even if you can't afford the $400 for the whole piece of equipment, throwing him, $5, $20, every little bit helps out, helps to get his product to market. Go to kickstarter.com/project/spreadem, or just search for Spreadem, spread-em on Kickstarter, and you can help support them. We'll put links in the show notes. We also want to go ahead.
You had a conversation with him on a recent episode, didn't you?
Michael Willett, friend of mine. I've known him since the Fish Nerds started. He's been inventing weird fishing products. He has a lot of cool stuff, but this one I think he's really nailed it on. So
Excellent.
yeah, it's been really cool getting to know him and watching his progression. And I hope he gets to market, because I put in the full amount. I'm all in on this one. So now he's sponsoring us. Maybe I'm getting money back. I don't know. All right. So, hey, it's time for the news. Did you bring news with you?
I did.
All right, hang on. Let me play our theme.
News, fish in the news. Everybody loves their fish in the news.
Beautiful, beautiful. So today's fishing.
By the way, you wrote that, Dave.
Yeah.
You wrote the lyrics for that.
I guess
back in the day.
back in the day. Well,
You
yeah,
didn't-
my
you-
career as a lyricist.
You had no idea.
Yeah. State Farm is there. That was me. Yeah. Anyway, so this news, we have a couple of good news items. This one's from the New York Times.
Oh,
You're familiar with that?
as a full page. I've been. Yes, I am familiar.
The title of this is "People with This Mutation Can't Smell Stinky Fish." All right.
By the way, before you get into this, let's talk about COVID-19. So,
Okay.
so one of the side effects of having COVID-19 is your sense of smell goes away.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you seen the Schwartzman? I forget that Swedish fish in a can that smells really bad.
Yes.
They have all these challenges over on YouTube's, and I was thinking, if I get COVID, I'm gonna do one of those videos, eat that stinky fish, and I'm gonna win.
You're gonna win because you won't care, although you'll be wheezing and.
Well, I'll be dead after, but I won't care. Like, I'll be able
That's
to
right.
eat it, no problem. Like if I get COVID, I only have one long day, right? So like if I get COVID, I'm on the short list onto a ventilator, right? So I have to do really cool stuff if I get sick. So I'm like, my time is limited. So the first thing I'm going to do when I get COVID is I'm going to eat that terrible fish. Right?
Yep.
That's the very first thing. What else? What else should I do while I've got like 2.5 hours and I can't breathe? Like what?
I want you to call an old workmate of mine and tell them off.
Oh, no problem. Or I'll record it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to really tell that person off, and if you're, if you could do that for me, that would be awesome.
All right, I'm in on that one. I also think about if you know what, listeners, if you can think of anything I should do when I have 2.5 hours to live and I can't breathe, give us a call 607-378-FISH and tell me. And if I get COVID, I'll do those things. It'll be great. We'll leave on a high note.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You could get your viral video with your virus.
I can't enjoy it after.
Right.
Yeah. And my wife won't get it. It won't be as funny to her as to me.
So the way this story goes is that researchers in Iceland, okay?
You can't trust those guys.
Well, the opening line of this story is awesome. It says, researchers in Iceland have identified a new mutant superpower. But the genetic trait probably won't be granting anyone admission to the X-Men.
I was going to make an X-Men comment, and they just
stole it.
They stole it.
They were on it. Obviously, a nerd wrote this piece. But what they have found is that they studied 11,000 people in Iceland.
That's too many, Dave. Iceland only has about 12,000 people. You don't need to do that many for a good study in Iceland.
Well, it's kind of interesting because 2% of the population had this genetic trait. And what it is, it's some gene that's turned off, and it literally prevents you from smelling the chemical that makes rotten fish stink. It's also the same chemical that makes urine and some body fluids stink. Isn't that pleasant?
That sounds nice, Dave.
Yes. But so 2% of Icelanders aren't affected, or have this trait.
You've seen how they preserve fish up there.
I know. Well, in other places, in other countries, it's much, much lower percentage. And they assume they might not have even identified this if they were studying this in a different country. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's crazy.
But the way they do this, the study participants were asked to take a whiff of the, quote, sniffing sticks.
Wait, say that again.
This is a quote from the story. Study participants were asked to take a whiff of 6 sniffing sticks.
Hashtag science. That's for real.
Yeah, that's what do we call it? Well, it's a sniffing stick. You sniff it.
I would like one.
I would like one. I wonder how they recruited their people. It's like, psst, hey, you want to sniff my sniffing stick?
Like, I'm going to go, after we finish recording, I'm going to go upstairs and talk to my wife. And I'm going, hey, come smell my sniffing stick. And I'm going to see how she reacts. Yeah, I have a prediction. Yeah. I can predict her reaction. I'm not going to share it, but I can predict it. And I guarantee you I'll be sleeping on the couch.
So anyway, 11,000 people were asked to sniff the
That's
sniffing
a lot.
stick.
I hope they have video of asking each individual person to say that. Like it's imagine the montage they could put together for YouTube.
Exactly. By the way, the sniffing sticks, there were 6 of them, right? One was cinnamon, peppermint, banana, licorice, lemon, and fish.
Oh my God.
I thought that was an odd choice of like, oh, pleasant. Ugh,
well, you only have
fish.
one bad smell.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
unfair
guess.
study.
So then they identify, and so they asked everybody to identify and rate the intensity and pleasantness of the odor.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably actually weren't even worried about the fish part. They were probably trying to do something else with the other smells.
Well, what kind of fish?
Just dead, rotten fish.
Oh, so it was rotten fish smell. It wasn't like, smelt, fresh smelt.
No, it's like bad, ammonia. It's that smell.
Oh,
it's
I
that
know.
smell that like, somebody's pissed on something. It's just really gets you.
Yeah.
Right.
Terrible.
So those people apparently though, when they smelled the sniffing stick, they actually reported smelling an aroma of caramel, potato, or rose.
Wow, from the stinkiest ones.
Yes, from the stinky, fishy things, because they have this genetic mutation. Instead of rotten fish, they smell a rose.
Isn't it possible that 2% of Iceland has never smelt a rose?
They think that's what a rose smells like.
Yeah, maybe they just are guessing.
My mother told me that was caramel. I don't know. She was feeding me rotten fish.
Your Icelandic accent is amazing. You sound just like Bjork.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very cute. I just love the idea. Like they're just like, what does it smell like? And they just name something they've never smelled in their lives just to compare it to. Roses, for sure. Yeah.
Yes. It smells like San Diego in the fall.
Have you been to San Diego?
No. But I assume it smells like stinky fish.
It has to.
But anyway, I thought that was a significant story. And I wonder where they use sniffing sticks in general in science.
Oh boy. I mean, it must be a normal scientific implement. You know, it's where would one? What is the science of smells called?
It's got to be a sort of aromathology.
It has to be stinkology.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it's or olfactology.
No, Olaf is the guy in Sweden.
He just melts in the summertime.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's fish in the news from the New York Times.
Wow.
Mutations.
Wow.
So there you go. And man, what a valuable trait that would be, right? Like if you had that, just think all the jobs you would have open to you.
Like what?
You know?
Like a septic worker?
You could be a septic worker, sex worker.
Sex worker.
You know, it all smells like roses to me.
Oh my God.
It's all good. So yeah, it would just open up because 98% of the population doesn't want that job.
No, it sounds terrible. Wow, that's good news, Dave. Thank you for sharing that with us. I just love the fact that I know that there's a thing called a sniffing stick. I'm gonna make sure that's in the title of the episode this week.
Sniffing stick.
Yeah. Well, so we're gonna go from Iceland. You're talking Iceland, right? Not Greenland.
Iceland, and
we're gonna go up to Nova Scotia, and we're actually gonna listen to a news station called CBC Canada. About a Chimera fish that was discovered up there. I hope you can hear this. Let me know how this sounds. And it's not playing.
Sounds quiet.
Back with bare hands, and they're saying
Oops, let me start over again.
A fisherman in Newfoundland has hauled in a tale to tell.
Can you hear that okay?
I can.
All right. And I'll pause this every so often, and we'll talk over it. And my favorite thing, by the way, about this is to listen to the newscaster, because you can tell she did no research before reading this article and interviewing this person. So she's coming into this very blindly and working really hard to say words. I like that a lot, because that's how I do radio.
You might or might not want to take a look at this. Gary Goodyear was fishing for turbot.
Gary Goodyear, is that like the most Nova Scotian name ever?
Oh, it's Gary Goodyear.
Everyone in Nova Scotia is their first and last name have the first sound letter, and the last name is the name of a product. That's you have Nicholas Nike. It's a law in Nova Scotia, so you have no choice.
Larry Lays. I love Larry Lays.
Yes, Peter Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good name.
In the Bonavista Bay last week, his nets were down about 460 fathoms, more than 800 meters deep.
So she goes from fathoms to meters. Neither one of them helps me know how deep he was going. Like, I like that she tried to clarify.
Right.
Didn't help me one bit at all. 80 meters, Dave. How far is that?
That's 10,000 hands.
10,000 hands, 40 fathoms, and gosh, I have no idea. I still can't guess.
20 cubits.
I love it. Right.
When the nets were hauled up, Goodyear was shocked to see this scary looking something.
So let me describe this fish. So it looks like a puppy dog with wings and the tail of the head of a squid for a nose. That's
Right.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe this fish. Really gruesome looking fish, by the way.
It is. It looks like. Do you remember the Dr. Dolittle movie, the original, not the last one?
Oh no, I only saw the most recent one with Iron Man.
Oh no, the original one had a llama that they took 2 llamas and cut them in half and put them connected them.
No, did they go? Oh wait, did they when they cut them in half? Did they bisect them like down the middle of the forehead?
No,
or they cut them in half in on the waist.
Around the waist.
Around the waist. I don't know why one's worse than the other. They both sound pretty gross.
But it was called a push me pull me.
Oh God. So they both have heads facing the opposite directions.
Yes.
That's gross.
Yeah, and it was. And this thing reminds me of a push me pull me.
Wait, which side poops?
They didn't get into it much in Dr.
It's
Dolittle.
a terrible movie then.
Yeah. But anyway, this reminds me of a push me pull me.
It looks like a pretend animal.
It does. It does look like a Seussian creature.
Mm-hmm.
The marine biologist has identified the creature as a long-nosed chimera, a deep water species about which very little is known. And maybe for good reason. Okay, so for more on this odd-looking thing and the man that caught it, we've got him here. Gary Goodyear is...
And his accent is the most Nova Scotian thing ever. He reminds me of my grandfather, who's from Newfoundland. So he had a kind of similar way about him. Yeah, he looks like him too.
in Templeman, Newfoundland. Gary, good to have you on the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
Gary, I'm okay, but I didn't catch that thing. So when you pull up the net and, oh, that thing is there, what's going through your mind?
Well, I'm telling you, we were hauling them nets and we're picking out the turbot, and the turbot was coming around the roller.
What's a turbot?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what a turbot is.
It must be
look it up.
Must be a fish.
I hope it's a fish.
We're picking out the turbots.
And then all of a sudden, I mean, you see this coming around the net holler, and my God, with this big rubber nose on it, and I stopped. You stop right in your tracks. What in the hell have we got there?
And did any of you guys know what it was?
No, nobody never had a clue. And we took it and we brought it into Valleyfield to the fish plant where we offload, and I brought it in there, and nobody in there knew it. So I took the picture and I posted it on Facebook. I said, my God.
Well, I posted on the Facebook.
Posted on the Facebook.
Yeah, because that's where, when you want scientific knowledge, Facebook's where you want to start.
Yeah, actually, I have a fish in the news thing that references that, so let's keep that in mind. By the way,
we will keep that. I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to play any more of the story. You get the idea of it. But he caught this crazy fish. Now, my first instinct, if I caught a fish that I'd never seen before, I mean, he must have already killed it because he caught it in a big trawling net, right?
Right, and it was 800 fathoms down.
Right, which is at like 12 feet.
That's like 80 miles.
Okay, 80 miles. Oh, that's really deep.
Yeah.
Are those 80 American miles or Australian miles?
Australian.
Oh, gosh, those are the worst kind of miles.
Yes, they are.
The deadliest kind of miles. Yeah, so the thing was dead anyway. So I was going to, if it was alive, I'd probably be inclined to take a picture and let it go, but he had to bring it into store. Do you think he ate it?
I doubt if he ate it, given his, what the hell is that? I don't think he ate it.
No, because he eats turbot.
Right, and I looked up turbot. A turbot is a flatfish. Looks like a flounder. Oh, so
they were trawling for him.
Yeah, they were scooping them up. So they must be right on the bottom, which I think Chimera are these bottom dwelling. They have a big electromagnetic sensory net on their face. So that rostrum on that fish must just be loaded with that electromagnetic sensing ability. They were probably, I don't know, could have been feeding on the turbot.
Could have been. But anyway, that's my fish in the news. I mostly liked his accent.
Well, I think you should get him and the Boston guy that saw the ocean sunfish.
Oh yeah,
remember the baby
it's
whale?
It's a baby whale. Maybe we should call the aquarium or something. It's wicked.
Exactly. Yeah. Get both of them on talking fish.
Oh my God, that'd be the most fun ever. You got one more?
I do. You got time for one more?
We got time for one more. Yeah.
Okay. So back to your social media story, you know, you made the joke, although as often jokes backfire, this story actually does have its origins on social media. And I will tell this story. This story is from Nat Geo, National Geographic, for those that are sticklers with it. And I will start in the middle of this story
Because you're old.
and then we'll get back to the title.
Oh, okay.
All right. So this story was started in 2018 when a researcher and the co-author of the study on this particular fish spotted a post on an Indian social media platform from a person who found and photographed an odd fish that they retrieved from their well.
From their well.
From their well. So they pumped it up out of the ground and they're like, holy crap, here's a fish. And they posted it on whatever Indian Facebook is. And so
now I need to find out what Indian Facebook is.
So then they, that triggered these researchers to go, what the hell is that? And turns out they had discovered, this was the beginning of discovering an entire new family of fish. There are 2 species of this fish. And the family are called dragon snakeheads.
Dragon snakeheads.
Dragon snakeheads.
That's a
And they're
great name.
subterranean. They live in the aquifers of this region in India.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 2 species of these subterranean snakeheads. One species is called the Gollum snakehead.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So here's where you insert your Gollum impersonation.
Yes. Precious. Snakeheads. Yes.
Which I have a feeling, like, first of all, how would you fish for subterranean fish? Like in a well? Is it a shovel situation?
So what is subterranean? Is that underground fish?
Yes, this fish is living underground in the water table.
You'd have to, yeah, or you could. So I had my septic pump out today, and
good for you.
Yeah. So to find the septic tank, we had to. Well, first I dug about 20 holes in the yard, never found it. And I had
find any fish?
Nope. I had to pay a dude to come find my septic tank for me, and he came out with a long pole, and he would poke it into the earth until he found something, and then he'd mark the ground and poke again until he found something and mark the ground, and then he'd dig a big hole. So I think you start by poking the earth with something until you find
until you hear precious.
Yeah, I don't like being poked.
Poking hurts, precious, hurts.
Exactly, and then you get your auger, but not an ice auger, an earth auger. And
like a post hole digger.
Well, yeah, if you're fancy. And then and then you drill your hole there and fish that. It's like ice fishing, only you're not cold.
Right, on dirt.
You're fishing on dirt. You stay dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which actually sounds kind of pleasant, actually.
Sounds very nice.
And so that's the Gollum snakehead species. And then the other species is called the Mahabali snakehead, which I think is Indian for fucking creepy, I think is what that means.
Has to be. Yeah.
But yeah, so snakeheads living underground. So not only are people now, people should, when they hear snakeheads, they're terrified of snakeheads. Now these are underground snakeheads. Can you imagine the B movies that could be created?
I can't wait. It's like Tremors, only with smaller animals. So like, run, and this like 3-inch fish pops out of the ground. You're like, oh man, that's it.
But it's going, we kill you, we fight you.
That's great. Well, that's good. By the way, I found out what Indian Facebook is called.
Oh, what is it?
Facebook. I looked it up. It turns out it's Facebook. Only
there
it's
you go.
In India. So good. Well, that's fish in the news. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
News, fish in the news. Everybody loves their fish in the news.
And that wraps up the episode, Dave. I think we're all done. We need to just do thank yous and get out of here.
That's good. Although I looked up initialisms.
Oh, was I wrong?
Yeah, slightly. So an initialism is an abbreviation consisting of initial letters pronounced separately. So like a CPU.
Oh, okay. And then,
so when you said that story is from the AP or AP.
That's initialism.
Yes. Or if you said this story is from app,
That would be a
acronym.
Acronym. I want to say anagram. I know that's wrong. So,
So anyway, just wanted to,
just to help me
set
out.
records straight.
All right. Well, I've learned almost something, and it helps. So
It's mostly true.
It's mostly true. That's the show. So that's it. You've listened to a couple of Fish Nerds when you should have been fishing. Hey, thanks, Dave Kellam, for coming on the podcast. We miss you.
My pleasure. Always good to be here. Thank you.
You can't see him. He's rolling his eyes while he's saying, it's like sarcasm for him as a speech impediment. Thanks. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks.
Yeah. Big thanks to Wally Pleasant for writing our opening theme music. Big thanks to Diane's Bath Salts for making our news story, and to Placastime Beat for the Lure Love music. We really appreciate your work out there. And also thanks to Tim Bete and the Crappie Hippie for that segment. Want to bring us home, Dave? Code of the Fish Nerds. So until next time.
Honestly, kind of. So
it goes. So until next time.
Until next time.
Follow the Code of the Fish Nerds.
Follow the Code of the Fish Nerds.
Spawn
early and often.
Never trust a free lunch with strings attached. And swim against the current every chance you get.
That's it.
You did it. You made a
Whether
podcast.
you're fly fishing in a stream, getting those ankles wet, or deep in the ocean, casting nets.
Fish Nerds.
Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. It's a podcast. Just for the halibut. Fried in a basket or broiled in a pan. Eat it raw like you're in Siam. Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. It's a podcast.
You did it, Dave. You made a podcast.
Cool. So fairly embarrassing. I forgot the end tag. Do you want to redo it?
No.
God damn it.
Do you want to redo it?
I don't know. I just feel bad that I couldn't even remember it.
Oh, I think it's funny.